Thank you, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here today and to see that we have so many friends and supporters of Haiti. Thank you again for being in this room. So on behalf of the Haitian artists and artisans that I represent, I'm honored to share with you my story. It's their story too. My name is Magali Dress, and I'm the owner of Caribbean Craft, a company that focuses on export. I should say a little bit more. We focus on also on product development, on market access. We have many hats in one company. So what I'm here to tell you is how this company was in 2010 before the earthquake. We had decided to step out to the market for the first time in 2010. And that's when, while at the trade show, we found out that we had the earthquake. My husband and I were out of the country, and we had no touch with our family for 3 days. After these 3 days, when we got back home, what really struck me was, one, a lot of people have lost everything, and two, most of all, a lot of them have lost their jobs and had no idea when they were gonna get that job back. The second day after we arrived, my husband looked at me and said, "What do we do?" I said, do we have a choice? No, we don't have a choice. The artisans started coming to my house every day and said, all I can say is that I have no money. But they said, "Malandres, we don't need your money. We want to know when are we going back to work?" And I said, then we start working tomorrow. And I transformed my house to become the atelier for more than 10 months for 120 artisans. So my kitchen, built for a family of 4, became a kitchen for 120 meals a day. And all of my bedroom were transformed into admin, shipping department, packaging, and storing. But it was an amazing experience because my daughters were allowed to meet and work with the artisans of my country and started to care about them and understanding what it is to be a citizen of this country and what is it to react when there's a problem. Because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility as Haitians. We need partners, but our responsibility is to build this country. So, when a few weeks after the earthquake, we had just had an order from Anthropology. Excited, we had 2 containers that were going out for the first time. I panicked. I said, but what if they let us down? Because of this strategy, they'll say, well, we don't want to work in Haiti. So I left the country. I left the operation going, my husband, took my second daughter who was traumatized, and I said, you're gonna have to help me secure the accounts. And I said, you're coming with me, you're 4 years old, but you're gonna have to understand, I need your help. So I went to New York, and I said, I walked the trade show. It was a New York show at the time. And they said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm here to tell you, we are not gonna give up on the artisans of Haiti. Because you're not gonna be selling through your store a product, but you'll be selling the story of recovery. Help me, I need your partnership. And they were blown away. Said, not only she travels, she comes with her daughter, and she's convincing us to continue working in Haiti. And that's how I built these accounts. That helped me. That tragedy became an opportunity for me. So when they asked me to talk about my story, I said, it's a very old story, but I'm proud to say that it's a story that, unfortunately, not too many people have written. And that's something that many Haitians should be writing now. Because we all know the problems of Haiti. But I always say the problems would be different if we had more jobs. It's not about reacting to disasters. It's about preventing the impact of the disasters. If my artisans didn't have the options of coming to my house, where would they be today? Working, I found out, has been also very important for them as terror. One of them I'll never forget was talking to himself all day, turning in circles. And I said to him, but what's the matter? He said, I only had one child, Malandres. She was 6 months old, and I found her cut in half. How do you forget that? And I said, I can't promise you can have your daughter back, but I can promise you that you'll have a home, and you'll have a job, and you'll have a new family. We will stick by you. And that man is still with us today. He found his balance back, and he didn't go crazy. Without us reaching out to him and being a family, an extended family to him, where would he have been? So now, we have to see that's what we went through right after the earthquake. But this company continued to go forward, and I'm proud of it. Just before coming here, I was in Las Vegas for the first show that Caribbean Craft. Haiti was present. Haiti is not present in any show beside our company. And this is something that we need to work towards solving. putting Haitian companies together, having a pavilion, having a partnership with the GLM management, offering us that as a support for visibility. Because nowadays, nobody wants to work and talk and think or go to Haiti that much. We're isolated. I have a lot of my friends here, and they can relate to that. How do we get access to market? What company could really find a way to finance close to $240,000 to only have access to 3 shows? But again, the question is, do I have a choice? I don't have a choice. Working in Haiti is not only for profit, it's also about contributing into the change that Haiti must need in this place. And that change is only going to come through job creation. People need to be secure that they can stay on that side of the island, make a living, and not feel like that they're disconnected to the world. This is what I'm trying to do for my artisans. And this is what I'm proud to do every single day. One thing I'd like to share with you, is that we've been blessed. Right after the quake, we received a lot of visitors. And I'm happy to see that a lot of them are still here in the room because they care, because they're playing their card. I know it's very hard. It's not a place where the business is easy, but it's a place where you can make an impact that you can do anywhere else in the world. Where else can I say that I have helped 300 families learn how to read and write in partnership with the Clinton Foundation and a group of buyers that we have from West Elm? They believe in what we're doing, and they partner with us. So during my journey, I was very blessed. Blessed to have a great business partner as a husband. Blessed to have a lot of friends understanding what I'm doing and having me up here in the stage. And blessed to be able to speak out for all of you here today who are investing in Haiti, who know how hard it is, and who are trying every day to fight the battle by breaking it into pieces. Well, thank you so much. I hope that my story could inspire you. It's a story of the artisans of Haiti that story that can only help them go forward. I think in this room there are many people that could help us work on certain levels, either financing, access to market, because that is something that one company can't take on their shoulder. Isolated, we can't make it. Together, we can. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dennis O'Brien to the stage.
Thank you very much, Magali, and welcome everybody this morning. May I just say, Magali, your story, obviously from the ruins of 2010, is just a remarkable story of entrepreneurship, and this morning's session is all about storytelling. But if one thing is for certain, Haiti needs more of those kind of stories, and I think the dynamism that you did in terms of going to the United States at a very important time and then selling all the products of the artisans, and there's such a rich industry of artisans, but they've never been organized in such a way where somebody could market their products in the United States the way you've done. So, and the way you've created a supply chain, because, you know, listening to Donna Karan and other people, Kenneth Cole, the biggest issue is, you know, if somebody's producing products that there's a demand in the United States, the biggest issue is supply chain and the reliability of the supply chain. So you've cracked it. So, and that was without the help of McKinsey or anybody else. It's just, you've used your common sense, which is probably the best attribute anybody would have in business. So I just want to congratulate you, but also women are at the core of creating jobs in Haiti, in my mind. And the really great entrepreneurial stories, the majority of them now are by women within Haiti. And I think your example is just one of many. But you know, to go and develop and sell your products in North America is an outstanding achievement. And I have a number of your papier-mâché cocks and hens in my office, so they're everywhere. They're even in Ireland. So thank you very much for telling your story this morning. Thank you. Now, I need to put on my goggles. I know, I started 10 years with no glasses, and now I'm wearing glasses. But it's great to have such a great turnout here this morning. And I would like to welcome everybody in the room. I'd like to welcome our long-standing members of the Haiti Action Network, but our new members, and we're going to hear from some new commitments in the next few minutes or so. So this all arose before the earthquake. If you remember, there was a number of us in a very small room in New York after in the middle of the CGI. Paul Farmer was there, and so were a number of people here, and we decided we would actually do something to get organised in terms of coordinating everybody's efforts that are playing a role in modern Haiti across the NGO sphere, but also in the business community as well. And it's amazing the kind of resilience of this network, the way people still come to the meetings, the way they still come and make commitments and participate in all the update calls. And I just want to thank everybody who made, in fact, the population now is 130 commitments, totaling about $500 million. And we're still making commitments. We're going to hear from 3 or 4 this morning. So of those commitments, about 60% of these commitments have been completed and are fully funded. As you know, it's very difficult. Sometimes in an emergency, in a disaster situation, people come into a country and make promises. I'm sure people made an awful lot of promises to Puerto Rico a year and a half ago, but some of them disappear and they just use it as an exercise of public relations. But thankfully, with the help of the President and also the CGI team, we've been able to keep people to their promises, which is the most important thing, because if there's one thing about Haiti is that, you know, over the last century or so, there aren't that many people who've kept their promises. So I just want to congratulate everybody in the room who've kept their promises to Haiti. So while there are many challenges in Haiti, and to be honest with you, yeah, I read all the articles about Haiti. I'm in Haiti quite a lot with my business, but you know, to be honest with you, I shrug my shoulders. You just got to keep moving, and you cannot be in any way despondent, you know, about anything that happens in Haiti. We have got to keep the course of our work here and continue our work and continue the promises that we've made, because I think in this room today and, you know, previously, we've had phenomenal innovators. And, you know, with innovation, you know, really you can change countries. And I think the thing about Haiti is that there's thousands of things happening every day that are really great, and they're changing Haiti. And, you know, it's gradual movement and moving and improving agriculture, manufacturing, you know, small business, health services, you know, all the different facets of the work in this room. This is going to lead to a profound change over many years. Now, you know, maybe I'll be in a box when that happens, but on the other hand, we will look back, you know, over the last 20 years and say, hey, there's been massive change within Haiti. So today we're going to have, you know, we've had sectorial updates following our meeting in March, and importantly, we have created, and I'd like to thank everybody who played a role in this, a centralized resource map, including mapping and emergency shelters for hurricanes, schools, community centres and clinics, because with, you know, Haiti was not really hit by Irma or Maria, but the previous hurricane that hit Haiti, people just didn't know where to go. So now all the NGOs now have a resource where they can guide people and tell people and use whatever communication means they have to get people into protected structures. So you'll have seen that in the prelims on this meeting. So we've heard from Magali, and you know, hopefully we're going to hear some more stories this morning and other examples. And you know, these are great stories of engagement within Haiti, investment, but also very importantly, because there's one thing that President Clinton has emphasized to us as a group, is that we need cross-sector partnerships, and also we need to work through the government ministries within Haiti, because that's the only way you can really do long-term impactful work. So you will see how all those partnerships are coming together this morning. So, you know, as I say, you know, the Haiti Action Network has in some way has been, you know, the starter upper of the post-disaster recovery conversation here in Puerto Rico that started this morning with the Secretary Clinton's opening session as well. So we're hoping to, continue our influence in changing people's views on how, certainly with sustainable development and people working together, that, in a post-disaster recovery situation, it'll be really, really effective, the work that people are doing. So I want to now just move on to our commitment announcements. So we have 4 new CGI commitments to action made by many of our long-standing Haiti Action Network members and also some new members of the group. May I please invite now Bruce Elliott Litchfield, Robert Frayling, and Joanne Maslin. And it's great to see you, Joanne. You've been nearly at every meeting as far as I'm aware. So I invite the 3 of you maybe to come forward and maybe, first of all, if I could ask Bruce Elliott Litchfield to just give us an overview of the work that Sun Buckets is doing. And I'd like to acknowledge, the work that Bruce is doing in launching a research project to address post-harvest crop loss in the Haitian peanut market. Thank you. Please.
Thank you, Dennis, and good morning, everyone. Sun Buckets is delighted and excited to be a part of the CGI community. And Sun Buckets are a new type of solar cooking device, and there are 2 innovations that distinguish Sun Buckets from other sorts of solar cookers. First of all, Sun Buckets store energy. So they store heat so that you can cook at night or some other time. Also, they're portable, so you can move them around and cook where you like. And the second part of the innovation is that the operating format allows you to simulate cooking with fire. So instead of it needing to cook inside of a glass tube or a box with a glass lid like other solar cookers, it's really like cooking with fire. And in the spirit of storytelling, I'll tell you a bit about how we got to this point from solar cooking. We had actually installed one of our first 2 international projects in Lakai, Haiti. There's an orphanage campus there, and we put in 24 systems. We also have another set of systems in Nakuru, Kenya. Kakuma, Kenya, where the UNHCR refugee camp is. Anyway, we became part of the Haiti Action Network, and at our first meeting, we got a couple minutes to say a bit about what we're doing. And Eric Carroll from Accesso immediately contacted us and said, "Did you say that solar cooker might also be able to be used for drying as well?" And we said, "Yeah, we think so. It's a platform for storing heat." And he said, "We have a problem with peanut drying in Haiti. And as you may know, peanuts in Haiti and many places around the world are typically harvested at a moisture content that is too wet to safely store. And so the farmers spread the peanuts out on the ground and let them dry. And it takes about 5 days for the peanuts to dry. They often bring them in at night to keep them away from pests because, of course, spread out on the ground, there's birds and rodents and other things. But bringing the wet peanuts in at night puts them in an ideal situation for microbes to grow, this warm, moist food. And in particular, Aspergillus flavus, that's the microbe that produces aflatoxin, the deadly toxin. And so Eric was really looking for alternatives to this spread on the ground style drying. And so that's the initiative that we're working on with this commitment is, are there ways to use sun buckets to safely dry peanuts? And if it's successful, then it could be used in many places, hopefully. So we're very excited. And of course, after the peanut harvest, those same units could then be used to cook without the sun. Thank you.
Our next commitment comes from Solar Electric Light Fund, and I'd like to invite Robert Frayling, who is the Executive Director, to just tell us a little bit about his commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here. Good morning, everyone. As many of you know, solar installations in Haiti have grown steadily since the devastating earthquake of 2010. Just a few weeks ago, the Haitian government announced new plans to deploy solar microgrids in communities throughout the country. While this is certainly good news, there's still the challenge of how the relatively small Haitian solar workforce will be able to handle the growing number of installations and meet the ongoing need for maintenance and repairs. The good news is that the Solar Electric Light Fund, together with our in-country partner Haiti Tech, have a promising solution. We are now producing solar technicians through a newly established solar training program in Haiti, working with Haiti Tech, a vocational school in Port-au-Prince. Our goal is to assist Haiti in expanding its renewable energy infrastructure while creating new job opportunities for the country's youth. The solar training program includes a first and second year course taught in French. The first year course, focused on training basic installers, was completed last year, and I'm very pleased to note that of the 30 students that graduated, 14 were women. The second year course, currently under development, will focus on larger photovoltaic systems, project management, and solar business development. We're also creating shorter spin-off courses for other vocational schools in Haiti, as well as specialized courses for specific audiences. Our commitment to CGI is to raise $500,000 to complete year 2 of the program and to support development of the spin-off and standalone courses. News of this solar training program has already spread throughout the Caribbean Basin and beyond. We're now receiving requests from around the world to duplicate the solar training program. So by supporting this pilot at Haiti, supporters can take pleasure knowing that their support will be leveraged many times over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it's my pleasure to invite Ulrich Gaillard from the Bate Relief Alliance. And Bate have done incredible work over the last 20 years working in health and also micro-agriculture products in Haiti. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you for having me here. In 2018, the Bate Relief Alliance launched the BRA Women's Empowerment Initiative in partnership with the United Nations Federal Credit Union Foundation. We developed a holistic approach aimed to organize and equip 5,000 women over a period of 5 years with skills training, microloans, and education and other support needed to achieve economic self-sufficiency, thus advancing UN's Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality. Our commitment trained 125 women in Dominican Republic's impoverished rural Bate communities as health promoters, and through the BRA Agricultural Cooperative, we provided them with low-interest loans to engage in crop and animal production. We further enhanced the program with access to nutrition, health, and vision care and clean drinking water. We cannot talk about gender equality without including the men in the equation, so we also partnered with Canada Fund and multinational textile company Gildan to expand our efforts to delivering intensive training to an additional 305 women and men, focusing on the prevention of gender-based violence and the development of equal, respectful relationships. Technical assistance for our commitment will be provided by the University of Minnesota School of Public Health and the Office of the Vice President of the Dominican Republic. We seek partners to help us reach our target goal of providing microloans to 5,000 women by year 2023. We want to expand our reach into Haiti's border regions, a contribution we believe would help break the cycle of poverty and rebuild lives. I want to acknowledge in this room some of our key partners to this commitment: Shauna Hemingway, Canadian Ambassador to the Dominican Republic, and Adi Dasha and Ezequiel Volquez, representative of the Dominican Republic's Vice President, Margarita Cedillo de Fernandez. Where are you guys? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, lastly, may I welcome Joanne Meslin, who has been a member of the CGI for many years, who's going to tell us about the new commitment from Habitat for Humanity. Thank you, Joanne.
Thanks, Dennis. So first, I found out that I would be up here just yesterday, so please forgive me. I wish I could be a little bit more prepared, but I certainly am thrilled to be here today and to announce for Habitat for Humanity Haiti's latest commitment and to be representing Liz Blake, who sadly could not be here today. This is a CGI success story that began over 7 years ago in 2011 with the initial funding from fellow CGI member Dennis O'Brien and Digicel. Dennis, thank you for your generosity and for your support for this incredible project through the years by way of 2 grants. The project is referred to as the Haiti Property Law Working Group, whereby over 300 Haitian professionals have come together under the guidance of Habitat to help resolve and certainly clarify the issues surrounding land rights. For the economy to develop in Haiti and throughout the developing world, there needs to be clear access to land. This commitment will mark phase 3 and will continue to take a hands-on approach and a very practical approach to solving a very complicated issue. We will work in partnership with the government of Haiti, Habitat for Humanity International, the Haiti Property Law Working Group, and the private sector to formally provide documentation for 12,000 land parcels over 4 years. The team will be training paralegals in rural areas that will work with small farmers to create a trail of legal documentation that will be used to establish land rights that will then be recorded and used to establish a tax revenue stream for the government. We will also be writing a 3rd manual that will address credit issues, along with working directly with the banks to determine how this documentation can be used as a source for funding. This is a $3.2 million project that will serve as a model that can easily be replicated throughout the country and hopefully others. It is funded through a $1.6 million grant from USAID that actually got signed yesterday, an additional $200,000 in kind, and Habitat will be actively fundraising to match the final $1.4 million. Jose Andres said it best yesterday, we need countries to be able to feed themselves, and we must invest in farmers. We know from all the studies that farmers that own their own land produce more. This is why this project is so important. It is about the farmers and strengthening the economy. So I just want to thank CGI for the opportunity to showcase Habitat for Humanity's incredible work. And if you'd like, you can find out more on their website, which is landlawshaiti.org.
I'd also like to acknowledge the commitment made by Demain from Rebuild Globally, who are unfortunately not at the session today, but has made a commitment to expand their shoe factory in Haiti. And obviously a footwear factory that runs completely from solar energy and others and offers dignified wages and a living wage to people gives an opportunity to, and they're employing a couple of hundred people now in Haiti, and this is exactly the kind of impact investment that we really need in Haiti. Thank you. It's a pleasure for me now to introduce Kenneth Cole, and Kenneth has made, I don't know how many visits to Haiti over the last many years, and has spent so much of his own personal time helping and strengthening communities in Haiti. And only 2 weeks ago, Kenneth was in Haiti with a group of people, and they're working now on across a number of projects. First of all, they're helping Demain as well, and Julie, the entrepreneur behind that project. And also they're involved in healthcare and also retail projects, and also supporting Father Rick, who's now probably one of the best known people in Haiti for the work that he does in Cité Soleil. So, you know, Kenneth has been going to Haiti since 2010, and we're delighted that he's agreed to come and say a few words to us this morning. Please give a warm welcome to Kenneth. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. I thank you for all that you do and that Digicel does for so long. It's really inspiring. So I bow to you and am inspired by you. Also, Magali, I don't think you give yourself enough credit, and I don't think what you do is just about selling made in Haiti. I think you've creatively created a great product. You have found the market for it, and at the end of the day, you've created a scenario where 1 + 1 equals a lot more than 2. So congratulations in that regard. In my first trip to Haiti, I met with Magali and was overwhelmed by what I saw. I also congratulate the commitment makers. And I saw today, again, and I thank the Clinton Foundation and CGI for driving social impact in such a meaningful way with such very clear deliverables, which is so hard to encounter. It's a privilege to be here, to be surrounded by so many who have devoted themselves to developing and harnessing best practices in disaster relief, many who have made what some of us do possible. I'm here today to share my personal journey in support of Haiti. And one that started as a human response to a tragic natural disaster that evolved into a long-term commitment to create a sustainable initiative that would help a crippled nation help itself. But actually what I'm going to do is take a break. I was asked to do this recently, and I thought what I'd do is kill some time and show a video that we had created, which summarizes a little bit of this journey, which we had created for internal purposes. So, and we did this several years ago, so I'm going to show you that, and then I will contextualize it afterwards. In January of 2010, 3.5 million neighbors were profoundly impacted by a devastating earthquake on the island of Haiti. Following the earthquake, we built upon an 18-year campaign of donating shoes and organized a shoe drive. This past October, I traveled to Haiti with certain family members, as well as 16 associates, to try to understand the severity of what had happened.
I collected a little over 200 pairs of shoes and traveled down to Haiti with the KC team and got to participate in 3 different shoe distributions.
Haiti's a really eye-opening experience. No matter how much you prepare when you get there, seeing the devastation, especially after the earthquake, really kind of hits home. It makes you realize that there's a lot less fortunate people in the world than you.
Although the press and camera are gone, the needs of this devastated community clearly are not. I wanted to see firsthand how to best assess how we could bring our limited resources to a community with unlimited needs. We're excited to announce the opening of the Kenneth Cole Haiti Health Center, which is a community-based medical center in City Soleil, which is one of the most challenged, underserved, and neglected communities in the Western Hemisphere. The center will cover basic public health, education, testing, treatment, as well as vaccinations.
I think it's important that the health center is going to be part of the rebuilding process because it is a basic necessary need. It's basic things, it's cholera, it's vaccinations, it's whatever the need is in that moment, and I think we're going to be able to address that.
We follow the vision, we follow the need of the Haitian people, the Haitian leadership. We're there to engage in dialogue and enrich and support, but it's their vision, it's their program, it's led by them, and we're here to help.
Est-ce que vous êtes au courant qu'il y a 100 monde qui passent dans notre projet là, pour dire au vivre?
Est-ce que vous êtes au courant que les 35 familles qui vivent bien?
The only way you can really have an impact on people is to teach them to help themselves, and they can build and then hopefully sustain healthier, stronger communities. So a little context. I've always sought to find ways to leverage my business platform and to connect with our various stakeholders in meaningful ways, as well as to amplify my commitment, personal commitment to community. I speak to our stakeholders often about not just what is on their body, but what's on their mind, not just what they stand in, but what they stand for. This started in 1985, I decided to use my brand's marketing platform to speak about what few would, the highly stigmatized AIDS epidemic. It was an epidemic that ironically many believed at the time came to the United States through Haiti. I then joined the board of AMFAR, the largest AIDS research organization, a private research organization at the time, and served on its board for 30 years and was its chairman for 14 of those years. In 1989, in the United States, we became aware of a rapidly growing problem called homelessness that was exacerbated through the Reagan-Bush years with the removal of a lot of the safety net. A fast-growing population that were largely being ignored. Governments didn't address it because they often did, because they didn't vote, businesses because they didn't consume. We ran an ad with a homeless person that said, unfortunately, too many people would love to be in your shoes. And started what became an annual shoe drive, collecting several million pair of shoes over those years for those communities in need, largely supporting Help USA, an organization originally founded by my brother-in-law, Andrew Cuomo, and now run by my wife, Maria. At this time, using our platform to really stand for something besides hemlines and heel heights became how we did business. And it wasn't just about what was driving me, it had come to also be what was driving my associates. It became a shared mission. After the earthquake on January 12, 2010, I, like many of you, was stunned by the magnitude of devastation that we witnessed unfold before us to people so close to home. So that year, when it was time to launch our annual homeless shoe drive, we knew it was best to refocus and redirect those efforts towards Haitian communities in need. Also at AMFAR, we decided that we needed to find a way to make an impact, and we chose to support, at the time, Sean Penn's relentless crusade through JPHRO, now named CORE, which I know we're going to hear from later. Coincidentally, my 14-year-old daughter, Katie, came home from school at about that time one day with a box of red rubber bands that she had ordered on the internet that said, "Help Haiti." And she decided she was going to pay the 30 cents for them, or have me pay that, and sell them at school for $1, and donate the proceeds to Haiti. So we decided after much negotiation, we would join forces, and we launched a crusade to help Katie help Haiti. And Katie went and raised, and we sold them for $5 and sometimes $10, and she sold them at all the local stores. And if this cause wasn't in and of itself personal, it became such. So in 2011, after collecting thousands of shoes, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars, I took a group of associates that were the most engaged in our Haiti fundraising, as well as an associate from AMFAR, and of course, Katie, and other family members to Haiti, with the goal of determining how best we could bring our collective and limited resources to a country with unlimited needs. Wearing my AMFAR hat, we toured JPHRO camp, as we were discussing earlier, and observed, and I was overwhelmed at the tragic circumstances, but yet how they did all that they could to mobilize the resources they did and accommodate the bodies that they were able to. But I observed that although HIV was at epidemic levels in Haiti, it paled in comparison to the impact that cholera was having on the entire health system here at the time, which had also had tuberculosis and malaria at different points as well. We deliberated as to how we could have the greatest impact on the greatest amount of individuals, and Greg Milne of the Clinton Foundation introduced us to St. Luke's and Father Rick, who I came to learn was not just an inspiring priest, but a learned doctor and an impressive entrepreneur. The St. Luke's Hospital Network, which is also connected to St. Damian's and St. Mary's, is impressively self-sustaining, thanks to Father Rick. They farm their own fish, make their own bread, pasta, peanut butter. They provide for their internal needs, sell what's left in the community. And they also have a school and housing and more. They don't just treat the people of Haiti, but they empower Haitians to help themselves. We decided to partner with St. Luke's and build a health center, as you heard, at St. Mary's in Cité Soleil. The poorest, as we've also heard, most underserved community in Haiti and possibly in the whole Western Hemisphere. A community of 500,000 individuals lacking basic needs, but none more important than basic health care. Katie, by the way, took a less creative path and decided to give her proceeds to AmeriCares. In 2014, we met with a group called Rebuild Globally, and you heard from Julie this morning, possibly, if you were there, and very impressively, and who made the case for the power of manufacturing footwear here in Haiti using upcycled materials. We've also spent time and working with Pascal Threads on another shoe project, and our hope is that that can become an important part of this cycle. And I also, we also opened a small store with a friend here named Valerie Pompey in Port-au-Prince. Again, with the hope of creating a self-sustainable model over time, which is considerably ambitious and maybe not realistic. None of this has been easy, and we continue to persevere. I just returned, as Dennis told you, from my 6th trip to Haiti in 9 years. This trip left me hopeful, which I know this is a sentiment that doesn't get expressed often enough these days in Haiti. Although the press and cameras are gone, the needs of this community go on, as does their courageous determination and perseverance. The country has made some significant progress on some fronts and little on others. Our continued support in Haiti simply feels like the appropriate thing to do. It's something that we have started, but not by any means finished, and may never finish. This session and event here also leaves me very hopeful. I appreciate the opportunity to spend time with you all today and to reflect on my meaningful journey with the country we've come to know and love. I'd like to leave you with 3 thoughts that have guided my journey. The first is, you can give a man a pair of shoes and he won't be barefoot. However, you can teach him how to make shoes, and he and his community will never go barefoot. We alone may not be able to change the world, but we can be an accessory. And finally, on a more personal note, it's great to be known for your shoes, but it's better to be known for your soul. It's It's now my pleasure to introduce Daphne Charles, Sasha Kramer, Frankie Miranda, and Ann Lee, who are joining us for a discussion on how to inspire innovation and sustain engagement in post-disaster settings. Please help me welcome them to the stage.
Hi everyone. Let me start by killing the mood with this joke. Actually, as I was coming here, I made a post on Facebook to tell my Facebook friends that I will be in a plenary session here, and I was going to be with speakers like Dennis O'Brien, Magali Dress, and Kenneth Cole. And most of my friends comment the size shows. All of them were like, I'm 7, I'm 9. But it's great, Kenneth, to know that you are not only helping in the fashion industry in Haiti, but in a very important sector such as health, which is really essential in Haiti. So thank you for joining our plenary session, and thank you for staying for our panel. My name is Daphne Charles, and I'm going to be the facilitator for the panel entitled Storytelling as a Tool, Inspiring Partnerships and Investment in Haiti and the Caribbean. For a little bit of background, I'm from Haiti. I was born and raised in Haiti and currently working in the country as a development officer for HELP. HELP, H-E-L-P, stands for Haitian Education and Leadership Program, and it's the largest university scholarships program in Haiti for 23 years. This organization has actually changed my life forever, and I mean it, by allowing me to study at University Quisqueya, where I studied agroeconomics. Please don't ask me the relationship between agroeconomics and my role as a development officer. That's another story. But also to do a special fellowship at Dartmouth College. And I love it so much that I went back and completed a special business program at the Dove Business School at Dartmouth. So I'm a very active young professional in the Haitian community, and I'm involved in a few initiatives, including Co-Create, Co-Creating Development, which is my social enterprise, a personal project that I worked on, and with the goal to transform slums community into self-sustainable community using art and technology. I'm also involved in the Haiti Tech Summit, and maybe some of you guys heard about it, which is now the largest tech summit in the Caribbean. We've done 2 summits already, 2017 and 2019, and we are there for 11 more summits, and we have one coming up in June in Haiti. So in 2017, I was among the 10 top most influential women in the country. And I usually give thank you. And I usually give this credit to HELP, really. Because I don't think without education, it would have ever been possible for me to make all these achievements. And I really feel grateful and very fortunate for in a country where only 1% of the population make it to university. And on top of that, 84% of the ones who graduate are living outside of the country. This can give you a little bit of idea about what has been happening in the country and what is still happening in the country. So this is a job subject that passionates me a lot, and I could have spent the whole day talking about it. But I was invited to moderate the panel today. I'm gonna stick to that. So, and I'm very happy to have some outstanding change maker in my lineup. And please help me to welcome Sasha Kramer, Frankie Miranda, and Ann Lee. Thank you so much for joining us in this panel. And I would like to first highlight my first objective for the panel, which is how to use storytelling to highlight progress and inspired engagement. After hearing some inspiring stories and learning about the new commitment in Haiti, let's start to talk about how, as a network, we can harness these successes to advance progress in Haiti in 2019 and beyond. I'm sitting here with leaders that have shown tremendous dedication in Haiti, and also with Frankie from Puerto Rico. So tell us about your current work in your respective countries, and who specifically it is impacting. If you could, help us to paint a picture of the people that inspire you to continue doing the work that you do. And let's try to keep it to 2 to 3 minutes each, so that we can go deeper in the conversation afterward. Okay, let me start with Ali.
So for me, the story that comes to mind first off is after the hurricane in 2016 in Matthew that really destroyed the south of the country. It was months afterwards that I was able to get down there to go visit and met with the mayor of several of the affected areas. And the mayor, with tears in his eyes, basically said, first off, having an all-Haitian team responding to our brothers and sisters for the first time was incredible. They were the only full Haitian team in the room of disaster responders. I think to me that is the moment that I felt like I'm a spokesperson for our team that is doing the work. And that is the most inspiring thing for me, and it continues to push me to do what we do. And to get their messages out there. I mean, really it should be our team sitting here because they're the ones that are constantly fighting every single day and representing, and to have that face of Haitian brothers and sisters responding, underlying sisters as well, because we have a very huge female staff, especially in our management team, that do this every day.
Thank you. Ladies first, Sasha. Let's go with you, Sasha.
All right, I accept. It's an honor to be here today and to speak about the work that's happening in Haiti and also learn about the work that's happening in Puerto Rico. Just to give you a little bit of context, I have been living and working in Haiti since 2004, and I work at the intersection of sanitation and agriculture. So the organization that I co-founded, called Soil, works to simultaneously address multiple problems by transforming wastes into resources. And most specifically, we actually take human waste and convert it into compost, which can then be used for reforestation and agriculture. And I think for me, one of the stories that sticks with me and really inspires me during these hard times is that in Haiti, as in most countries in the world, human waste is a very taboo subject. And working in the sector of sanitation is something that's often stigmatized. And so seeing the team that I work with, which is 85 people who are out there collecting waste from communities on a weekly basis, the people who are composting it, seeing them in their uniforms, so proud of the work that they're doing and so respected by the communities which we serve is one of the things that makes me feel that we must be on the right track and keeps me going.
Thank you.
Talking about stories, I think that if you allow me, I probably will have to go with a personal story. Right after the hurricane, we started working immediately on the relief effort as an organization. But being born and raised here in Puerto Rico, while I was working on the relief effort, I was also very worried about my family, which I have no contact with. On my first scheduled trip to Puerto Rico, I had to pause my work and bury my grandmother, who passed after the hurricane. And during the funeral, when we were at the cemetery, The mayor of Corozal, a mountain town here in Puerto Rico, told me that they had been cut off from the distribution line of food and emergency aid from the central government. At that point, I needed to put aside my grief and start activating our network of people on the ground and try to secure as soon as possible food and water for this mayor who was desperate, had very little contact with central government. The roads were very difficult to navigate, and cell phone communication was very, very spotty around the island. When we talk about storytelling, and we hear from the experiences in Haiti and also some of my colleagues in New Orleans, when you have to talk about the need, but at some point you need to start talking about successes. I think that in Puerto Rico, this idea of storytelling was complicated because while I was going through this and 3 million other Puerto Ricans were going through so much hardship, you have the leader of the free world trying to deny that something happened in Puerto Rico. So for us, it was not just storytelling about what is being done and the successes. We needed to spend extra time convincing the world that there was a humanitarian crisis in Puerto Rico. From my perspective, I think that the world leaders and other community leaders saw what happened in Haiti, and they understood that there was need. Here we are fighting a White House that has been determined to deny that there was something, that more than 3,000 people died in Puerto Rico, that nothing really happened here, and that there was a successful response, even when FEMA representatives have said that they dropped the ball here in Puerto Rico. So I am honored to be part of this panel, but also I understand the importance of storytelling, but I want also to give you that perspective that for us here in Puerto Rico, it has been complicated by the federal response.
Definitely. Very inspiring stories in a very difficult context and environment. But I would like to shift to a very important question, and I can relate to President Clinton, who likes to say, follow the trend lines and not the headlines. We all remember that, right? So what trend lines do you see? And where have you seen progress that the rest of the world may have not seen? And also, how has that shaped your perspective of Haiti and also of Puerto Rico and impacted your engagements? Who would like to give it a try?
I'll jump in, I guess. I have to say, as you saw with Magali, who spoke up here, the women and the entrepreneurship that you see in Haiti it would blow your mind. I mean, just looking at what happened after the earthquake, days after the earthquake, you saw people on the streets hustling, getting back to work. The women there are phenomenal. They have so much stacked up against them, not just in terms of lack of capital and also the fact that they're women. I mean, these women entrepreneurs will put anybody to shame. And it's that trend line that we see over and over again. More so than that, you see diaspora coming back. There's a number of companies that have been started by diaspora who see opportunity in Haiti. They don't see just the poverty and how difficult it is and all these barriers. They see actual opportunity, not as just a social, it's not just philanthropic. They're doing it to make money, and they're doing well. And I think that's a story that's not getting told. And I think it is a sector that is not getting enough support with all the amazing work that they're doing.
Anything particular, Frankie?
I think that for the Hispanic Federation have always been working with helping nonprofits be stronger, giving technical assistance, capacity building grants. And for us, coming to Puerto Rico was, the purpose was to find those organizations that needed our help to fulfill that reimagining of Puerto Rico. For us, the most striking image is the community organizing. When you have towns that did not have electricity for 12 months, when there were towns that did not have water, clean water to drink, when you see all these neighbors coming together and finding solutions, that was what it was so inspiring to us, and that kept us going. Today we are supporting 95 groups around the island with a $30 million investment. But still, there's so much that these groups want to do, the innovation and creativity. And that's going back to my first statement about the White House when he says that Puerto Ricans want everything handed to them. It is completely inaccurate. And that's what we are trying constantly to say, not only here in the United States, but also organizing the diaspora and telling these stories, community organizing. These were the first responders. When the government completely collapsed here in Puerto Rico, communications, all the systems, these communities basically helped each other.
Thank you. Sasha? Yeah, yes, I do. Well, Frankie said at the beginning, if I start to get angry, just calm me down. But I feel like I might cheer you on instead. So keep it up. But I really thought about this question a lot last night, and I was able to speak with several people at the event last night. I had a very good talk with Daphne and Connor also from HELP, thinking about, we do hear so much bad news coming out of Haiti, and how do we look beyond that? And I think that one of the things that initially drew me to Haiti, and certainly one of the things that keeps me there, is that Haiti has always been a lighthouse to the world. And Haiti has taken some of the hardest things and demonstrated how that change can happen. Since the Haitian Revolution, which led to the abolition of slavery, to the many innovations that we see happening right now in Haiti that are a spark. And that spark takes a long time to grow into a fire in Haiti, but that spark spreads, and it can spread throughout the Caribbean. And I think that a lot of the work we do in Haiti, we sometimes feel like, we've been doing this for 10 years, and it's little by little. But what really inspires me is to see that work getting picked up in other parts of the world and growing. And I feel like Haiti will always continue to be that lighthouse, and we will get there eventually.
Very well said. Well, I would like to jump now to the second objective of this panel, where we're going to discuss about some of the challenges post-disaster and also share some of the lessons learned. I now would like to shift a bit to talk about specific post-disaster challenges and strategies to rebuild and innovate based on lessons learned. I think we have a very unique opportunity here to share approaches from across the region. So first, Anne, can you speak a little bit about response effort in Haiti after Hurricane Matthew, and what was lacking then that you now see as an opportunity to innovate and improve?
I think the biggest thing that struck out to me was the coordination, which we should have learned in 2010. It was reinventing the wheel again, essentially having external actors coordinating in English and not inclusive of local governance. To me, that was a huge mistake that we just followed, again, right after the earthquake, when we should have known better. I think it was able to switch back quickly, it switched into the way it should be, which is to coordinate within the local government and with the local communities. I think that was a huge missed opportunity that we should have learned earlier on. But I do think, on a positive note, what also came out of that was really interesting technologies. We have so much access right now to, just all this technology. We have drone mappings. I mean, essentially what we should and what we could be doing is mapping these affected areas fairly quickly with drones to be able to speed up the amount of house-to-house assessments that we're doing. On top of that, I do think in terms of the storytelling piece, I think we are in a space that is quickly changing, this communication space, that the humanitarian community still has not caught up to. We keep telling the same stories in the same ways, and it is lost to the majority of people who are actually watching and wanting to be involved, and that we want to keep engaged. I think that we have at our fingertips virtual reality, and I think we're quite literal, like we want to tell our stories truthfully, avoiding poverty porn and disaster porn. But I think there's a way to do that where you can tell a story and not so literally. If you just look at Alejandro Inarritu's Carne y Arena, what he's done with VR, taking real stories but making it almost fictionalized so you actually experience it. You can actually connect with it. It becomes more accessible. It's not this faraway land that happens to other people. You experience it as your very own. I think there's so much room for us to be innovating and to do these things in much more accessible, authentic ways that we are not taking advantage of, and that's shame on us. But I'm hoping with a group like this is something that we can really explore.
Very insightful. And talking about technology, if you guys are using social media, please don't forget to use the hashtag ideas into action. And also you can tag Clinton Foundation, and also I Daft on Twitter. So I would like to make sure that you also tag me so that I can retweet and repost so that some of our Haitians in Haiti can actually know some of the insights that are being discussed here.
Sorry, just one last thing before I turn this over. And the importance of taking over this narrative is so critical. After the earthquake, we were reporting on a weekly basis to Congress, which was not usual. And we were getting bombarded with negative stories because that's what was selling. I don't think that we had enough savvy at the time, knowing that this has to be a PR campaign so people don't get that fatigue. So that's definitely something that I think here in Puerto Rico, there's been so much more progress, and people have been very conscious of that and have been much more positive focused in the storytelling that I think we still need to learn, especially in Haiti.
Awesome. Frankie, from a Puerto Rico perspective, how would you answer the same question? If you want me to go back to it,
No,
what
thank
was
you.
lacking, and then also what do you see now as an opportunity?
Well, I think that the biggest challenge that we have experienced is for people to really understand what exactly is Puerto Rico. There was soon after we started working here, we found several groups that have been known for their work, for their incredible work for many years, but they have never received institutional funding. And many of them were not 501c3s the way that we know them in the United States, but it was because many foundations and corporations in the United States will not fund groups in Puerto Rico because, well, we don't do international. And then the international organizations or foundations will not do any funding in Puerto Rico because, well, we don't do domestic. So we were living in some sort of like limbo that Hurricane Maria finally kind of like to allow the people to really start a conversation about Puerto Rico. There's still a lot of understanding. There's still, when I need to send stuff to my parents here in Puerto Rico, I need to still sign an international slip at the shipping company. There's still a lot of hesitation about, well, we cannot go to Puerto Rico and invest in these groups because they don't look like the groups in the United States, or they are not prepared to do pages and pages and pages of an application to try to receive the funding. So we have been, as it has been mentioned, we have been blessed to have great friends. Lin-Manuel Miranda and the Miranda family, Hamilton coming to Puerto Rico, have created also a new wave of stories, of positive stories. As you mentioned, an interesting, positive public relations campaign on behalf of Puerto Rico. I'm sorry that you got stuck with the less famous Miranda, by the way. It is a lot of learning about Puerto Rico. Even during the emergency, when other other countries or international institutions wanted to send stuff to Puerto Rico, they learned that you cannot send stuff directly to Puerto Rico because of the Jones Act. And many people were very confused about how was going to be the response. And then you have again, and I'm sorry that I'm like a broken record, and then you have a White House determined to block aid to come to Puerto Rico and to just attack the most powerful voice that we have for us to do our work, the mayor of San Juan, Carmen Yulín, and calling her a nasty woman on Twitter and spending all his time trying to deny everything that happened here. But at the same time, we have been doing a lot of progress trying to explain to people what Puerto Rico really is and the status of Puerto Rico and how they can help us.
Great. You can see a lot of similarities actually between Puerto Rico and Haiti, and this reinforces the idea of continuing this communication, this conversation between Caribbean countries, so that it doesn't work it, so that we all make the same mistakes, and we can go so much faster and more efficiently if we learn our lessons. So, but then now let me turn over to Sasha, because ensuring economic sustainability is taken into account when designing recovery efforts, and it is key to successful recovery. So, for example, has created a unique social business model around ecological sanitation. Sasha, what do you think is needed in order to ensure self-sustainable economic strategies and current philanthropic efforts in the region?
Thank you for the question, Daphne. And I see Dennis standing over there, so I'm going to have to answer a very big question in a very short amount of time, and I will do my best to do so. So I think that what comes to mind for me as we transition from being a humanitarian response organization after the earthquake to building off that humanitarian response to develop a social business, I've been thinking a lot about the role of philanthropy in providing basic services like sanitation. And while it's true that we are creating employment by providing jobs in the sanitation sector, I've really become very conscious of the need for the work in the education sector that HELP is doing, the work of economic development that Magali is doing, because truly, philanthropy is a bridge towards a future sustainability that's based on the public and private sectors. And without education, people will not be able to build successful businesses. Without jobs, people cannot pay for services, and there's not money going into the public sector. So I see a need for ongoing philanthropy to support the education and livelihood sectors, and as a bridge in the basic service sectors until we get to a point where the public and private sector can take over. And I think that this is a wonderful forum for that dialogue, so thank you.
So I know that time is running out, so do we have any time for questions, for Q&A? No? Okay, unfortunately. But thank you very much. And I really invite you to continue the conversation with the panelists after our panel, and really thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you very much, Daphne, for doing such a brilliant job this morning, and may I thank the three panelists as well for for joining this morning and giving some more stories. So thank you very, very much. May I also thank Kenneth Cole, and it was interesting to hear about your daughter, Katie, and I'm reminded of the saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, and I want to congratulate you on your 30 years of activism as well. Now, the President is chairing another session very, very shortly, and he has dropped by to say a few remarks. He's been obviously following what's going on because he set up the CGI and was the initiator of the Haiti Action Network. So I'm delighted to see President Clinton here this morning and welcome here to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few notes I want to talk to them. First, I want to thank all of you for being here, and I want to thank Dennis O'Brien. If it hadn't been for him, this Haiti Action Network would never have gotten off the ground. And I'll give you my two conclusions at the beginning. Number one, this network has created enough commitments that when fully implemented, it'll be worth more than $500 million to the people of Haiti. Nobody thought we could do that when we started. And we're about 70% of the way home. So my first conclusion is, for God's sakes, finish the job. And then figure out something else to do. My second conclusion is, this is the model that I want to see for Puerto Rico, for the Virgin Islands, for the whole Caribbean. Because when you face something like this, you have to deal with conditions, culture, capacity, in and out of government, and usually some measure of corruption which undermines capacity. And if you start there, you just throw up your hands and say, oh well. So I'll use Haiti, but it's fair to think about Puerto Rico and everything else when I'm talking about this. Hillary and I went to Haiti on a lark right after we got married, 2 months after we got married. We had a friend who worked for Citibank, and they just opened a bank there. And back then you could build up frequent flyer miles, and he said, your wedding present is you're going to Haiti for 5 days with me. Be ready on December the whatever it was, the 4th or 5th. And we were both teaching school, so we had the time off, and we went. And fell in love with the place. And we went to a voodoo ceremony. And in the fate of history, by the time I was there running the UN program to try to rebuild, the man who had toured me around and explained it all to me, who had a graduate degree from NYU and had built a very successful chemical business in France and sold out and came home to run the family voodoo operation because his grandfather said, it's you. And his faith was so strong, he sold out everything and started his life again. I won't bore you with all the details, but he was the chief priest of voodoo. President Proval said, I got good news for you. Your old friend is now the Pope of voodoo. So you'll be connected to the rural culture. Anyway, in '95, 20 years later, I deposed the military leader who was necklacing people, putting tires around their necks and setting them afire, and brought back President Aristide. And then after I left office, I went there to start the AIDS program in President Proval's second term, well, at the end of Aristide's second term. Then in 2009, before the earthquake, the UN asked the Secretary General, said, would you head a UN operation to try to help revive the economy, because the previous year's storm had taken about 1/3 of the GDP away. And we set to work and brought hundreds of people down there, and then the earthquake hit. It'd be hard to imagine a more hopeless situation. And I remember Chelsea and I went down about 4 days after the quake, and or maybe it was a week. And I realized all over again that if you start with the people, then the obstacles disappear. If you focus on what you can do instead of what you can't do. What you have to give instead of what you don't have to give. I met Magali, who never stopped her operations. She moved 75 people into her home. Where the hell they were sleeping, I don't know. But anyway, they were working in her home because her factory was destroyed. I stopped at they used to have all the local artists with their paintings along a little graded fence on the way downtown. And then on one side of the road, there was a whole crafts area behind it. There were only 8 back. And one guy's screaming at me, you've got to stop. So I said, we're going to stop. We're all going to buy a painting. Today, nobody haggles over the price. If you don't have the money, I'll cover it. So this guy says, come to me. You bought a painting from me in 2002. So I go around and say, sure enough, he's got the picture up there. And I said, I can't believe you guys are back here. He said, oh, we have to be. He said, you know, we're all one family. We know each other. And I have nothing else to do. My wife and children were killed. He's back there with his pictures 4 days later. And he says, the only way I can honor them is to give courage to the others. They know if I'm here, they have no excuse not to be. Then I'm sitting there with a finance minister who came to work the next day after his 10-year-old son was killed. And he was this very dignified man, and he said, I said, I can't believe you're here. And he said, I have to be. I'm not the only one who lost somebody. And we all have to be responsible as quickly as we can. So anytime somebody gives me some, like you've heard the Puerto Rican people characterize, said something about Haiti, I tell them those 2 stories, and I said, you need to talk about something else with me. I can't deal with this rationally. Don't expect me to be rational about this. All over the world, there are people like this. And all over the world, people are getting screwed sometimes by bad governments. And so if you want to use that as an excuse not to do it, by all means, stay away. But otherwise, you should saddle up and go to work. That's the bottom line. I want to thank Kenneth Cole, and in his absence, I want to thank Sean Penn. Sean Penn became a part of an honorary Haitian by, unlike other, I want to thank all the celebrities who went down there and helped us raise money and all that. He actually lived in the camp that probably had the highest percentage of people living in the mud all day, every day, of all the camps. There were 10 of them. They elected him the president of the camp. So the first thing I did when I was representing the UN is I got all the camp presidents there. There they were, 9 Haitians and Sean Penn. And he's still there. And we turned some of our programs over to him. And the JPHR, they're great. And I really want to thank Magali because she's been sort of my constant inspiration this whole time. I keep up, every time she hires somebody else, I keep up with it. I say that because I want to read you some numbers that otherwise wouldn't make any difference. This group is directly responsible for helping 65,000 farmers and small-scale producers. More than 43,000 girls and women in empowerment initiatives. More than 100,000 people who've gotten access to small business capital. More than 66,000 people now have a sustainable income that they did not have even before the earthquake. More than 590,000 people have improved health care, including more than 430,000 women and their children have better access to maternal and child health care. There's a lot more. 100,000 more kids are in school, in spite of everything. And a lot was done for small business, and there's been a lot of environmental work done there. Even infrastructure was built by people here, or people who were in this group. So that's what I want you to think about. You work with the government when you can, you work around it when you must. I try to create a climate in which, for a year or so, we ran this Reconstruction Commission, where I represented the UN and the global community, and I said, I'll do this. I said, this will be very boring and tedious, but I want somebody on that commission from every aspect of Haitian society. Federal government, the mayors, because like here, they were often doing the most. Civil society, labor, business, you name it, everybody was on there. And then everybody had given $150 million or more. Then I brought in the Cubans and the Venezuelans when they still had some money. because they don't want to work with us, but I let them sit there and be participants because they were giving us money. And skills, the Cubans gave a lot of skills. And we just did it together. And then the government got mad because none of the donors wanted to give money direct to government operations because of the history of corruption. So they wanted to take it down. I said, you can do this if you want, but you'll lose billions of dollars. I said, you've saved me all these meetings. We posted every donation online. We posted who got the money. We did an after-action analysis. It was clean, transparent, and good. Then when they stopped, they said, well, we want you to keep running the economics, bringing people down here. I said, I will. My only condition is don't mess around with crazy rules and don't ask anybody I'll bring down there for a bribe. That's all I want. Just leave us alone. And that's pretty much what happened, and you see the results here. All I'm saying is, don't let somebody tell you that ordinary people with limited resources multiplied by 100 or 1,000 cannot have a huge impact if you're willing to spend the time and deal with the conditions, respect the culture, and keep the people in mind. Because the average person anywhere in the world is a pretty good woman or man. The average person anywhere in the world has innate abilities. Most people want their children to look up to them. They want the dignity of work. They want the respect that comes with being able to think that when you get up in the morning, you can do something to make life better. And this system works. It will work to some greater or lesser extent under almost any conditions, except if you're being persecuted or shot at, then you get a pass. Otherwise, you should show up. And again, I will say, I hope that's what comes out of this meeting for the people of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and all the other places still to be affected. A lot of these smaller countries, Dominique is a good example, it can be fixed with relatively little money in a hurry if there were enough people who were just committed to working together to do it. And someday, when Dennis O'Brien looks back on his long career, he will get a special blessing from God for being on the right side of the Irish peace process. And for the Haiti Action Network. It is a thing of wonder. So finish the job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Linton, for your wonderful remarks and for joining us here this morning. Now, just to wrap up, I would like to, for everybody to turn their attention, we have a video. There you go. Thank you. Given that we're here in Puerto Rico, it's clear that Puerto Rico has a great plan of recovery, and the recovery is going ahead despite outside forces. And we've heard from this morning from the panel about how Puerto Rico is really getting their act together. But also, we need to mention other countries like BVI, Anguilla as well, and Dominica, who are really shining examples, the way they have had a real bounce in terms of the way they have committed to changing and building much more sustainable models in their country. So, there's great work going across the Caribbean, not just in Haiti. I'd like to thank all the staff from the CGI for all the work that they did in putting together all the briefing documents, but also the reports, which are very detailed and just shows you the success of the work that is going on an ongoing basis. And particularly may I thank Gauri Patel, Greg Mill, who's been there for ages and is the leader, and also Adam Cortez. So the three of you, thank you. And if I left any other names out from your colleagues, I just want to thank you on behalf of everybody. Our next meeting is probably going to take place in early May in Port-au-Prince. We're going to be back in Haiti as such. But I'm going to leave you with our two new mantras just to galvanize everybody. The first one is what President Clinton said a few minutes ago, is saddle up and let's go to work. And the second mantra was from Kenneth, it's better to be known for your soul. So I just hope those two little statements galvanizes us for the work ahead. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.